Hello and welcome to Financial Education for the Nation. My name's Warren Shute and today we're going to talk about building your house of wealth.
This episode has been sponsored by Idealo, the price comparison website.
Okay, welcome back. Welcome to 2021. What a great year it's going to be. It's got to be a great year. Everything is first a thought. Remember that. I strongly believe that we there are people who have had a good year, believe it or not, in 2020, and quite often not it is through the actions and thoughts that they held in their mind. Now, I agree. If you've lost somebody, it's tricky to justify how that could be a good year completely. But that aside, if you're able to think before you act, you often achieve more. And today, I want to start a recap. So if you've been following my column and the shows over the last couple of episodes this year, you should by now in show 1 have a compelling vision. So you know what it is you're looking to achieve in your life. So you've got that out in the forefront of your mind. So you've got your outcome and you've broken that into goals. You've got your 5 and 10 year sort of visionary targets, and then your 3 and 12 month absolute goals, which are nice and crystal clear written down. And then in addition to that, you've got your check-ins every 90 days. You've got your quarterly check-ins, so you check in. I used to call them rocks, so I'm not allowed to call them rocks apparently, according to my publisher. But you have these quarterly rocks or check-ins that you work towards. So what we've got is your vision, your 10 and your 5-year visionary goals. Okay, so I kind of want to be there when I'm 10 years time. I kind of want to be doing this in 5 years time. Okay, 36 months will go in a heartbeat. So this is what I'm going to do towards that, right? This is what I want, my 36-month goal. And that's what I use a lot of times with my clients at Lexington. Quite opening question. If we were having this conversation 3 years from today, what needs to happen both personally and professionally in order for you to feel fulfilled with your progress? And that gives us some kind of clarification of what they're moving towards, what they're towards goals, because you have towards goals and away from goals. Gives us some indication of what they're looking for over 36 months. And then we break that down and say, okay, well, if you want to be there in 3 years, we better start doing these things over the next year. So we put 12-month goals in place. And then because a year will go in a heartbeat, just before you know it, it'll just be gone. We then break the year down into quarterly check-ins. That's some nice feedback on the video saying how people like that. So it's really good. Thank you for doing that. I appreciate you contacting me and letting me know. So when you've got those quarterly check-ins, it's more concrete. It's like 90 days. We're like, okay, next 90 days. So the end of March, what needs to happen between now and the end of March for you to be closer towards your 1-year goal, which will take you closer towards your 3-year goal. So that's what we did in week 1. And then in week 2, we then went through about financial organization, getting financially well organized, because I'm a firm believer that you can't do anything until your desk is tidy. You know, if you've got stuff everywhere, you don't know where things are, it's going to take time. Having systems and processes in place, as much as it might sound boring to the person who lives in the now, the free-spirited person who's a bit more, hey, you know, just enjoy life, stop worrying about the future kind of thing. I know, I live with one of those people, so I know exactly how you think. It does help us achieve more. And whether that more is connection with your friends, being outside, whether that more is just having fun, whatever your more is, it does help you achieve more by being more organized. So financial organization was week 2. I said, go through your bank account system, set up the bank account system. Do you need this? Do you want this? Can you get a similar experience for less? So you got your bills account, your your WAM account, and then you've got your reserve account for any savings and stuff. So kind of sort of went through that. I didn't touch on pocket money, actually. I should have touched on pocket money. So you can touch on pocket money. All these things are all over the blog and all over in previous episodes as well. And obviously in the book as well, the money plan. So if you want to pick a copy of that up, well, just message me. Just message me like so many of you do. But this week, we're going to talk about building your house of wealth. And every house has got strong foundations. Okay, every house has got strong foundations. Any good house, that is, anyway. But they're not sexy, are they? Let's face it. You invite your friends around, or when we were allowed to invite our friends around for dinner and stuff, you don't talk about your foundations of your house because they're not going to come back again, are they? But you're all glad you got strong foundations because it makes you safe. And your house of wealth is a great analogy for your finances. Okay, so looking at your finances, we have to have strong foundations at the bottom. Otherwise, it doesn't matter what we achieve, because it could all come tumbling down upon us. Now, I go on about this because it's so important. And I talk to you as a professional and someone who does this day in, day out, not someone who's trying to sell you the next quick fix. Okay, we will talk about investing, and we will talk about growing your money and getting double-digit returns, and how you can compound that to become, multi-millionaire, if that's your outcome. But before you go there, you've got to look at your foundations of your house and say, okay, what do I have to have in order? There are 8 foundations for your household. I should put a graphic of this actually on the website. I don't know if there is, but I'll have chat to Vince, who's the clever one in the relationship, and he's able to do all things like that. So maybe get him to put a graphic on so you can see it. But there are 8 foundations. 3 are essential. In fact, everybody listening to this must have one. I'm doing some work for Aviva, and they don't like me saying must have it, but that's true. You must have them. I really do. And this is my podcast and YouTube, so I can say you must have it. The other 5 are optional. Okay, the other 5 you can consider whether it's appropriate for you. But for these 3, which we're going to cover in today's show, they are for you. So if you're listening, you need these 3. Okay, so House of Wealth, foundations across the bottom, 8 foundations, 8 important things to have in place. 3 are essential, 5 are optional. The first 3, number 1 is emergency cash. Okay, now emergency cash is basically your cash buffer. It's the amount of money that you hold on deposit so that if things go wrong, if you lose your job, if your boiler goes broke, if you need to lay your hands on something, if your family member loses their job, you need to help them out, you can do so without realizing any of your investments at an inappropriate time. Okay, and I've been doing this for 25 years now. I assure you it is essential. Okay, and the amount you hold will depend on your personality. Okay, so I used to talk between 3 and 12 months. Okay, and that was only because I had 1 or 2 clients that wanted 12 months. But I got to be honest, I struggle to really justify that amount of money on deposit because you get no return on it. It's actually going backwards because inflation's eroding it. But I would say you need at least 3 months of your expenditure. And if you're a particularly cautious individual, or you're the only income earner in the house and there's lots of money reliant upon you, and you might find it hard to get a job if you got made redundant, then perhaps 6 months of your expenditure held on deposit. So you look at your monthly bills and you say, okay, I need 3 months of that. That if I lost my job tomorrow, and assuming no redundancy, no severance pay or anything else, you lost your job tomorrow, I can carry on living without worrying for 90 days. And within that 9 days, it allows me some headspace to go and get some work and get things sorted out. Okay. In addition to that, you should keep on deposit any committed or planned expenditure over the next 3 years. In other words, if you're saying, well, actually, I've got all this money on deposit, but Johnny's going to get married, and I said I'd help him out with the wedding, or Mary's off to university, and I've got that deposit to pay in 18 months' time, that should also stay on deposit. Okay, so 3 months of your expenses plus any committed expenditure over the next 36 months, so next 3 years. Now, 2 things: where to hold it and how long is it going to take you to create it. Let me touch on how long it's going to take to create it first. This is no mean feat. Okay, let's be honest. Creating an emergency reserve is a goal in itself. And if you look at it logically, if you earn £1,000 a month, I use round figures, £1,000 a month take home, I'm suggesting or recommending you have at least £3,000 held on deposit. Okay, now if you're able to save 10% of your income, which I would suggest is the minimum you save, it's going to take you about 2.5 years to save that £3,000. So this isn't something that's going to happen overnight necessarily, but if you save 10% and that's all you did, it's going to take 2.5 years. What you can do is you can look at creative ways of accelerating that. And I go into quite some detail into my book about this, about looking around the house. What can you sell? So I'm selling stuff on eBay at the moment. I'm always selling stuff on eBay. Okay, I'm very fortunate to have a good job and have a good income, but I make sure that I recycle for the environment's sake more than anything else, all the things in my house. And it brings extra money in. Okay, so you can sell other things around the house. So if you got some gifts, for example, at Christmas, that replaced older items that are still pretty good in some other person's hands, they are excellent. Or if you got something that you're probably not really going to ever use, don't waste it. Don't just leave it there. Sell it, get it listed and get it sold. Okay. Taking a second job and getting creative. But, I know the economic environment is slightly different in the moment, but there are still ways to do this. So 10% of your income and creative ways of bringing extra income in to accelerate that and to bring it down from 2.5 years. Now, where to hold the money? I would suggest that you hold the money in National Savings and Investments, NS&I premium bonds. Now, this isn't a investment. This isn't a debate on the probability of winning is, I've got it down here somewhere, 30 or so thousand to 1. I touch on it later in the show. This is an insurance. This is an insurance against you losing your job. You want it guaranteed and you want it accessible. And nothing is more guaranteed than HMRC Treasury, or HMR Treasury, sorry, and it's accessible within a couple of days. So it's a great place to do it. If you found a high interest rate deposit account that you were happy with, I'm fine with that. I'm not going to argue about that whatsoever. We have some clients do that and they absolutely prefer it. We have some clients say, there's no way I'm going to hold in premium bonds. What's the point? I'd rather get 0.001% interest. Go figure. It doesn't bother me. Life's too short. Just choose something. The most important thing is you have 3 months of your expenditure held on deposit plus any other committed spending over the next 3 years. So that's number one. That's emergency cash. Emergency cash, emergency reserve, whatever you want to call it, buffer fund. It just helps you sleep well at night. And when you have that, okay, you walk a bit taller. You feel, actually, I'm on the road to financial success. It is a sensible thing to do. And I hate the word sensible because it's boring, but it's true. It's the right thing to do. Number two, the second most essential thing you need to do is to arrange a will. Now, you might say, hey, Warren, this is for old people. Warren, this is for people with millions of pounds. Warren, this is for other people, not me. It's not, it's for you. Because if you pass away, somebody else has to administer your estate. And if they're going to administer your estate, it's going to take much more time and effort for them to do it without a will than it will be with a will. So what I would suggest is you arrange your will. Now, there are two instances where I would scream if you didn't have a will. One of those instances is if you have dependent children. Okay, if you have dependent children, it is essential, absolutely catamount, that you arrange a will. And the reason for that is if you and the father or the mother pass away, then the children are cared for by social services until the courts decide who would be an appropriate guardian for your children. Now, come on, guys. We're all grown-up people here. It doesn't take a rocket scientist to realize your children are going to be upset. Going to a stranger is not going to help matters. And actually just taking a bit of time out your diary to arranging a will and getting things done is going to make you a better person and make you thankful that you've done this as well. And heaven forbid, if the worst thing ever happens and you and this other parent does die, at least there's something in place for succession and the guardianship of your children. So that said, arrange your will, no big deal, nice and easy, won't take very long, questions are easy, and if you're stuck, please feel free to message me. I'm very, very happy to help you out, and we can do it remotely as well. Second thing is, if you are very keen for a particular asset, or i.e. some kind of money that you have or valuable item goes to someone particular, then it's essential that you do it within your will. Okay. Now, a great example of this is when there are second marriages. Okay. And let's say, for example, I own the house, I'm with somebody, and it's really important to me that my house on my death goes to my children and not to my new partner, because they didn't bring in a financial commitment to this and they have their own home, for example, that they're renting out. then I can do that through my will. Okay. I have a number, and I'm not exaggerating here, a number of real experiences with clients before they come to me. They've said, yes, this has happened to me. My father passed away, and then when my mother passed away, the will went to her new partner and not to a new husband and not to the children. And then he left it down to his lineage, down his side of his family, and he excluded us altogether. So it's not about family feuds. It's not about trying to do anything else or doing somebody out of an asset. It's about protection. And just so you know, if the reverse happened, if you can leave a life interest into the surviving partner. So if your parents are in a relationship, if you're in a relationship, you think, well, actually, I want my partner to live here the rest of his or her life. I don't want them to be evicted and then it go down to my children. You can do that. So we can set that up so that the surviving partner can live in the house, move, downsize, that kind of thing, have the benefit of the value of the money, but not actually have access to the capital, because the capital will be retained for your children or whoever the terms remainder and whoever they are ultimately. Okay, so there are two reasons why you really must do a will. One, for custody, guardianship of your children, and two, for ensuring particular assets go to particular individuals. Then number three, the third essential foundation of the house of wealth are your lasting powers of attorney. Your lasting power of attorneys are not enduring power of attorneys. They are different. Lasting power of attorneys are when you give somebody else authority, legal permission to make decisions on your own behalf. There are two types of power of attorney. One is a financial power of attorney, and that power of attorney comes live straight away once it's registered. And the second is a health power of attorney, health and welfare, and that only becomes valid on incapacity. So in other words, when you're unable to make decisions on your own behalf. These are two essential documents that I would say every one of my clients has got. I'm pretty sure that I would say it'd be fair to say that's right. And I would say every one of my listeners and viewers need to have as well. It's really, really important. Anybody at any age can slip and bang their head and have an accident and then be unable to make decisions on their own behalf. Not only are you then a financial and physical burden to your family, okay, because they've got to look after you. And this could be me, okay, I'm going to be a burden on my family. I slip and bang my head. They've got to physically look after me and feed me and such like. But now I'm an inconvenience because they can't easily get access to my money, my bank account. They can't easily sell the house. Okay, so, but with a power of attorney, they can. So let's say, for example, the house that you're in is just not appropriate. You need to downsize, or you need to move to a house that's got a bedroom downstairs, or you need to be closer to family members, or whatever it might be. Without a power of attorney, you have to go to court to get that sorted. So this is why these documents are so important. You can arrange these yourself, about £82 online with the Office of Public Guardian, goes directly there, or you can use a firm to help you do it. So if you're interested, you can give us a call, drop us an email, we can help you, but you can do them yourself, and the helpline is fairly straightforward as well. So that's the three essential. I'll go through the other five, which generally insurances: life insurance, medical insurance, critical illness, income protection, and general insurances, another session, because it can be a bit overwhelming. But just a takeaway from today: top three: emergency cash, 3 months of expenditure, will, get it sorted, especially if you've got kids and you want to make sure certain assets go to certain people, and your lasting power of attorneys. Okay, big five. So every week I touch on 5 things that are relevant normally to the topic that we've just gone through. This week we're talking about the foundations. A quick survey by the Money Advice Service found that 4 in 10 adults do not have £500 saved. Can you believe that? Now, if that's you, why don't we set that as one of this year's goals, 2021, to make sure we've increased our savings. So maybe to 1 year of our expenditure, or well, that'd be a bit too much, I'm sorry. Maybe 1 month of our expenditure. You know, maybe that's enough. So we just look at it that way. So it's nice and simple. Set ourselves some easy wins. Number 2. This is talking about the saving for your emergency fund. So if you save 10% of your net income, it will take you 2.5 years to save your emergency fund. So remember, it's not a quick fix, but it's definitely worthwhile doing so. Number 3, the odds of winning the premium bonds are 34,500 to 1. So I hold premium bonds as an insurance. I do not ever expect to win the jackpot. Okay, but I hold them and I do win some £25 and £50 occasionally. Number 4, there are various charities and trade unions and associations that will give you a discounted, in some cases, a free will. And there is a free will month, which I believe is in March this year. I don't know the ins and outs of it, I'm sorry, but it is available, free will month. So you can Google that and have a look on that and see if you can get yourself a will arranged for free. And then number 5, the application fee for a lasting power of attorney is £82. But if you earn less than £12,000 a year, you can get a discount of 50%. And if you're on any or certain means-tested benefits, there's also a waiver towards the fee as well. So check out the LPGA website for that. Economists love to disagree, and what they're talking about at the moment is inflation, whether inflation is going to surge. So we've had a barrage of spending by the government into the economy through both the furlough schemes and also the loan schemes and stuff. And what they think is people are saving money up, and then when the coronavirus comes, the pandemic finishes, everyone will go out and have a big spend. It might pick up, but I'm not going to be one who says there's going to be a big spurge in inflation. Don't forget, if you've got your self-assessment to do by paper, make sure you get that done by the end of January. That's your deadline. A couple of questions this week. First question is actually from a 16-year-old. So I've just received my national insurance number, and it mentions Child Trust Fund. What is this? The Child Trust Fund was the precursor to the Junior ISA. So they're not available anymore. But if you are, I think, between 11 and 19 years old, you are going to have a child trust fund. There'll be at least £250 put in there. And if it's in cash, get your parents to invest it. Go and ask your parents where it's invested. Second question was, I want to buy some Alibaba shares, but I'm worried that Jack Ma has gone missing. Yeah, so was I. Jack Ma is the CEO of a Chinese company called Alibaba. He is very outspoken, probably the richest man in China. And he went missing, he spoke at a conference and he didn't speak very highly of the Chinese banking system. And then 3 days later, after the conference, the Chinese government stopped the IPO of his company, Ant Group. He has another company, a branch off. And last, I think, 6 weeks, he's been missing. And they think he's under house arrest. So, direct shares are risky anyway. But when you invest in foreign, particularly Chinese shares, which have a different regulation, they're even riskier. So I don't hold directly any shares like that. It's too risky for me. Okay, Smarter Spender. This section of the show is sponsored by Idealo, the price comparison website. And thank you, Idealo. You helped me save some money over Christmas with the price comparison site. So if you've not used Idealo before, get on and try it. It is a fantastic site. It searches the internet for different prices and allows you to get the best deal, I believe, and what's out there. And it'll also look at price trends historically of what the prices have been. So not only are you looking at, okay, I can get this price now, but you look at it and you think, actually, this price is coming down and it's a big spend item. I might hold back a couple of weeks. It's not urgent that I need it, and you can just monitor it. You can set price alerts as well. So my kids often do this. They want something and they'll put a price alert on it, and then it will just ping up and say, hey, this is hit the price that you wanted to buy it at. And by then, often, they don't want it. So it works great. So Idealo tell us what's dipped in price each week. And this week, there's a number of items dipped in price. Dumbbells, hoodies, strategy games, prams. But two that caught my eye were fridges and garden hoses. So it's all about planning for the future, isn't it? So if your fridge is tired, you might be thinking of replacing it. They're 12% cheaper on average than last week. And obviously garden hoses, we're not doing much watering at the moment, but that time will come around very quickly. It's a good time, apparently, for considering buying cycling equipment, indoor cycling equipment particularly. You've got the Peloton bike, which is extremely expensive, but apparently on average, indoor cycling items in January are £661, cheaper than the average price. They're £661, which is cheaper than the average price of £723. So, yeah, if you're looking at indoor exercise equipment, which I think a lot of people are, it's a less expensive time of the year to buy it. And they believe that people are looking to buy things that are going to entertain them, some kind of cheap thrills, because we're in lockdown in the UK and it's winter, so the weather's not the best and we're confined to barracks. So, hey, we've got to keep our spirits up. So hopefully you're going to have more listeners on the podcast, and they're thinking that people will be looking to buy some books, retro games, and things like that to enjoy. So, thank you for listening to the show. I've had an incredible 2020. It's been really, really good. And 2020 looks very, very exciting. Please ensure you subscribe to the show. Click down, hit the subscribe button. And I would very much appreciate if you shared your views on the show in the comments box below, but also with your friends and family. If there's anyone else who you think might benefit from watching the show, please give me a shout out. If there's anything you want me to cover, I would love to. I'm here for you. I do this as a pro bono to help people out, and I enjoy every moment of it. And until I speak to you next time, please stay safe, look after yourself, and have a look out for other people as well. There are other people in your life who are sheltering or on their own. Pick up the phone and say, hey, how are you doing? Just thought I'd spend 5 minutes and just give you a call and see how they are. But until next time, keep safe. And I'm Warren Shute, and this is Financial Education for the Nation.